Worry is a thief. It sneaks in quietly, steals your peace of mind, and leaves you with a mind full of noise and a body drained of energy. But unlike most thieves, worry doesn't take anything real. It takes what you imagine. The first step in mastering worry is to understand that it is nothing more than a misuse of your imagination. When you worry, you are projecting your mind into a future that hasn't happened yet, building pictures of trouble and disaster, and then reacting to them as if they were happening now. This constant state of tension weakens your body, clouds your judgment, and slows down your ability to make sound decisions. Most people believe they worry because of the problems they face. In truth, it's not the problems but the uncertainty that drives worry. A problem with a clear solution rarely keeps you up at night. It's the unknown outcomes, the what-ifs, that keep your mind turning over endlessly. One way to strip worry of its power is to put it under a microscope. When a fear rises up in your mind, stop and ask, what exactly am I afraid of? What facts do I have? And what am I imagining? By separating facts from speculation, you can cut worry down to its true size. Often, you'll find that the problem is not as big as you've been picturing it. Another truth about worry is that it thrives in inactivity. The more time you have to sit and think, the more fertile ground worry has to grow. Action, even small, deliberate steps, chokes out worry by giving your mind a productive outlet. If you want to master worry, you must train your mind to live in the present moment. This doesn't mean ignoring the future, but it does mean focusing your energy on what you can do today. Because in the end, the future is shaped not by your fears, but by your actions now. Once you understand that worry feeds on uncertainty and inaction, the next step is to interrupt its cycle before it gains momentum. Worry is not a single thought, it's a chain reaction. One what if leads to another, and soon you've built a mental movie of disaster that plays on repeat. To stop this, you need a method, a set of mental tools that can bring your thoughts back under control. One effective technique is the decision deadline. When a problem arises, give yourself a fixed amount of time to gather information, weigh options, and then decide. Worry flourishes in indecision, but once you commit to a course of action, your mind shifts from speculation to execution. For example, if you're concerned about a financial issue, set a 24 or 48-hour window to review your budget, talk to the necessary people, and then make a clear decision. This prevents endless mental replay. Another tool is compartmentalization. Picture your mind as a building with many rooms. Worry will try to spread through every floor, but you can shut the door on it. If something cannot be acted on until next week, mentally store it in that room and focus on today's tasks. By practicing mental separation, you protect your energy for the problems that truly need your attention now. You must also train yourself to recognize the difference between concern and worry. Concern is constructive. It's identifying a potential problem and taking reasonable steps to prevent it. Worry is destructive. It's replaying a problem without moving toward a solution. Whenever you feel your mind spiraling, ask, am I solving or am I circling? If you're just circling, it's time to stop and redirect. Finally, remember that the body and mind are deeply connected. Physical relaxation is a powerful antidote to mental tension. Deep breathing, a brisk walk, or even a change of scenery can break the grip of worry long enough for you to regain perspective. Sometimes the fastest way to clear your head isn't thinking harder, it's stepping away. Mastering worry isn't about eliminating all fear from your life, it's about refusing to let fear set the agenda. With discipline, the cycle of worry can be replaced by the cycle of action, and that's when you take control of your life instead of letting imagined disasters control you. The most dangerous thing about worry is that it keeps you thinking you're doing something when, in reality, you're just running in place. The mind convinces itself that replaying a problem is the same as addressing it. But there's a simple truth. A problem that can be acted upon should be acted upon, and a problem that cannot be acted upon should be released. Anything else is wasted life. The first step to turning worry into productive action is identifying the facts. Worry thrives in the fog of assumptions. If you're anxious about your health, for example, ask yourself, do I have actual medical evidence or am I operating on a guess? If it's a guess, replace it with facts. Schedule the checkup, take the test, gather the information. Once you have facts, the unknown loses its power. The second step is writing down the specific problem. This may sound basic, but the act of putting it on paper forces you to define it. I'm worried about money is vague. I need to cover 500 in expenses next month is specific. Specific problems can be solved. Vague problems breed endless anxiety. Next, list your possible actions. Don't filter them yet, just brainstorm. Write down everything you could do, from the obvious to the unconventional. Then, evaluate each option for feasibility and impact. Pick the one that moves you forward the fastest with the least unnecessary risk. Once you've chosen an action, set a deadline and start immediately. Even small progress will begin to shift your mental state. Action is the antidote to helplessness. Worry can't survive in an environment where every thought is met with a step forward. It's also important to remember that some problems require multiple small actions over time, not one dramatic leap. If your worry is about long-term security, then the plan might be a series of consistent steps, saving a set amount each week, learning a new skill, expanding your professional network. Big fears often dissolve when you chip away at them daily, instead of trying to demolish them in one blow. Finally, track your results and adjust without judgment. If your first approach doesn't work, it's not a failure, it's feedback. Worry wants you to believe that every setback is a reason to panic. The truth is, every outcome is information that brings you closer to the right solution. The shift from worrying to acting isn't just about fixing problems, it's about reshaping who you are. You stop being a passive victim of circumstances and start being the architect of your response. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes to move from what if to here's what I'm doing about it. Worry is like a plant, it grows in the soil you give it. If your daily habits, thoughts, and environment feed it, it will thrive. If you deprive it of its nourishment, it withers. That's why mastering worry isn't just about reacting when it shows up, it's about building a lifestyle and mindset where worry has no room to flourish. The first foundation is mental discipline. Most people let their minds wander wherever they please, like a car with no driver rolling down a hill. But if you want to starve worry, you must direct your thoughts with intention. This doesn't mean pretending negative realities don't exist. It means refusing to dwell on things you cannot control and replacing them with thoughts that lead to constructive action. You can't stop a bird from flying over your head, but you can stop it from building a nest in your hair. One of the simplest tools to build this discipline is the replacement principle. The moment you catch yourself worrying about something you can't change, replace that thought with a question. What can I do right now that will make my life better, even in a small way? Then do it. You're teaching your brain to shift from rumination to movement. Over time, this becomes automatic. Another pillar is controlling your input. The information you consume directly affects the level of worry in your life. If you flood your mind with constant bad news, toxic gossip, or endless online arguments, you're feeding the plant of worry every day. You don't have to hide from reality, just be selective about what you allow into your mental space. Instead of scanning headlines designed to provoke fear, read biographies of people who overcame adversity. Instead of scrolling through complaints on social media, engage with communities focused on solutions and growth. The third strategy is training your perspective. Worry thrives when you magnify your problems and minimize your strengths. One practical exercise is to keep a written record of past challenges you've faced, along with how you overcame them. When a new problem appears, review that list. It's a reminder that you have survived difficulty before and can do it again. Also, remember the power of physical well-being in mental stability. Lack of sleep, poor diet, and inactivity make worry 10 times worse. Physical weakness lowers your resilience. Physical strength raises it. Regular movement, even just a brisk walk each day, clears the mental fog where worry hides. Healthy food stabilizes your energy, reducing emotional volatility. Quality sleep resets your nervous system, giving you a calmer base from which to make decisions. Finally, surround yourself with people who strengthen you. Worry is contagious. Spend your time with those who panic at every obstacle, and you'll soon do the same. But calm, solution-focused people inspire you to approach life with confidence. That doesn't mean avoiding friends in need. It means choosing your inner circle with care. When you combine mental discipline, selective input, trained perspective, physical health, and a strong support network, you're not just fighting worry, you're building a life where it struggles to survive. You stop waiting for peace to arrive after the storm and start creating peace within yourself, no matter what storms may come. Most people see worry as an enemy. But here's a shift in perspective. Worry can be a messenger. It signals that something needs your attention. The problem is not worry itself, it's what you do with it. Instead of letting it spiral into fear and paralysis, you can train yourself to convert it into action and learning. The first step is separating signal from noise. Not every thought that makes you uneasy is worth pursuing. You must learn to ask, is this a real issue I can do something about? Or is it just background noise from my imagination? If it's real, act. If it's noise, release it. This act of filtering prevents you from wasting energy on phantom problems. Next is setting boundaries on mental time. Worry feeds on unlimited attention. If you think about a problem every waking hour, you magnify it until it feels unsolvable. Instead, set a specific time window to address it. Some call this a worry appointment, a 20-minute slot where you brainstorm solutions, write them down, and decide on one immediate step. Once that time is up, you move on. This stops worry from bleeding into every moment of your life. Another powerful approach is channeling worry into preparation. For example, if you're worried about a presentation, instead of pacing in anxiety, use that energy to rehearse, refine your slides, or practice answering questions. Worry without preparation is stress. Worry with preparation is fuel. Also, embrace small wins. When your mind is tangled in big abstract fears, break them down into the smallest actionable pieces. If you're worried about your finances, start by tracking your expenses for 1 week. If you're anxious about your health, commit to 1 extra glass of water each day. These micro actions give you control, which shrinks worry. And never underestimate the role of self-talk. The words you use with yourself shape how your brain processes stress. Replace "what if I fail" with "how will I handle it if things don't go perfectly?" That subtle change shifts you from fear to problem-solving mode. Over time, this approach transforms worry from a destructive habit into a constructive signal. You'll stop fearing it and start using it as a trigger for focus, preparation, and growth. The very thing that once drained you will become part of your strength. The ultimate goal of mastering worry is not to eliminate it entirely. That's impossible. Worry is a natural function of the human brain, designed to keep us alert and prepared. But when unmanaged, it hijacks your focus and drains your energy. Emotional resilience is the armor that allows you to face uncertainty without collapsing under its weight. One key pillar of resilience is acceptance of uncertainty. The need for absolute certainty is a breeding ground for chronic worry. The truth is, you will never have perfect control over the future, and that's okay. Accepting that life includes unknowns frees you from the exhausting chase for guarantees. Instead of asking, "How can I be sure nothing will go wrong?" start asking, "How will I respond if it does?" This shift from prediction to preparation changes everything. Next is emotional regulation. Resilient people don't wait for their emotions to dictate their actions. They have tools ready, breathing exercises, physical movement, mindfulness techniques that help them pause before reacting. Even a 30-second pause can break the chain of escalating worry and give space for clear thinking. Another core habit is balanced perspective. Worry magnifies problems until they look enormous and permanent. Resilience requires you to step back and ask, will this matter in a year? In 5 years? This mental zoom out often reduces a crisis to its actual size. It doesn't dismiss the problem, it just strips it of unnecessary drama. Also, strengthen your support network. Sharing your concerns with trusted people creates 2 benefits. You gain outside perspectives, and you remind yourself you're not alone in the fight. Sometimes, the very act of voicing a fear aloud makes it lose half its power. Finally, resilience thrives on self-trust. The more times you face challenges and come out the other side, the less future uncertainty scares you. Keep a victory log, a written record of past obstacles you've overcome. On tough days, review it. It's proof that you've handled worse and can handle what's ahead. When resilience becomes your default state, worry no longer owns you. It may knock on the door, but you'll meet it with calm eyes, steady breath, and a plan in your pocket. When you allow worry to dominate your mind, it slowly drains the strength you need to act. Worry makes every challenge seem bigger than it is, and it convinces you that solutions are out of reach. To master worry, you must first acknowledge it openly, instead of hiding from it. Pretending it isn't there gives it power. When you bring it into the light of honest thought, you take the first step toward control. Train your mind to respond to worry with clear reasoning. Ask yourself what the worst possible outcome might be, and whether you could still move forward if it happened. More often than not, you will find that the fear in your mind is larger than the reality in front of you. This realization alone can shrink the size of the problem. Next, act quickly on whatever part of the problem you can control. Worry thrives in inaction. It feeds on delay. Even a small step toward a solution breaks its grip. Each action, no matter how small, builds momentum and restores your sense of power. It also helps to replace aimless fear with constructive mental work. Fill your mind with a definite plan, a clear purpose, and something meaningful to accomplish. A mind busy with creative or productive thought leaves little room for destructive worry. Finally, keep perspective. Remind yourself that the majority of things you once worried about never came to pass. Life's troubles are often temporary, and your ability to adapt is greater than you realize. When you make this truth part of your daily thinking, worry loses its ability to dominate your life. A powerful way to weaken worry is to turn your attention outward. When your thoughts are fixed only on your own fears, they grow heavier. But when you focus on helping others, your mind shifts from anxiety to purpose. Acts of service, no matter how small, remind you that you have value to give and that life is bigger than the challenges in front of you. Gratitude is another weapon against worry. Each day, take a moment to recognize what is going well, however minor it might seem. It could be the kindness of a stranger, the comfort of a friend, or simply having the strength to keep going. When you deliberately notice what's good, your mind cannot hold the same weight of fear it carried before. Surround yourself with people who encourage constructive thought. Worry can be contagious if you spend too much time around those who dwell on the negative. Choose company that challenges you to see solutions instead of obstacles, and your own thinking will begin to reflect that energy. Build habits that keep your mental and physical state strong. Exercise, rest, and balanced nutrition directly affect the way your mind handles stress. A tired and poorly nourished body is far more vulnerable to the grip of worry than one that is well cared for. Remember, the mind can only hold one dominant thought at a time. If you fill it with ideas of growth, gratitude, and action, worry will have no place to take root. Another step toward mastering worry is to deliberately reframe the meaning you assign to challenges. The same situation can either appear as a crushing burden or as a valuable lesson, depending on the lens through which you view it. This is not about ignoring reality, but about choosing the interpretation that empowers you instead of one that traps you. If you lose a client, it could be proof that you are failing, or it could be the push you need to improve your service, refine your skills, and attract better opportunities. The event itself does not define your future. Your interpretation does. Keep in mind that worry is not the same as preparation. Preparation is about anticipating potential problems and creating plans to handle them. Worry, however, is about obsessing over problems without taking meaningful action. If you find yourself stuck in endless mental loops, ask yourself, am I actually preparing, or am I just rehearsing disaster? If it's the latter, pause, breathe, and redirect your energy into something tangible that moves you forward. One of the most practical ways to redirect this energy is to break down the feared situation into specific, manageable steps. When the mind sees a huge, undefined threat, it panics. But when you list out concrete actions, making a phone call, researching a fact, speaking to a mentor, the vague shadow becomes something smaller and less intimidating. Action breaks the spell of worry. It's also vital to be selective about the information you consume. If your days are filled with negative headlines, online arguments, or constant exposure to other people's crises, your brain will naturally adopt a mindset of tension and danger. Limit your intake of negativity. Seek out sources of knowledge and stories that inspire solutions, resilience, and creativity. This isn't about denial, it's about feeding your mind the material it needs to remain balanced and strong. Understand that your nervous system responds to both real and imagined danger in similar ways. When you vividly picture a worst-case scenario, your body reacts as if it's actually happening. You can use this mechanism in your favor by vividly picturing the best-case scenario instead. Imagine yourself handling challenges smoothly, finding unexpected help, or discovering a hidden strength. The brain will follow the story you tell it, so tell a story that supports your courage. Finally, commit to the idea that life will always involve uncertainty. The goal is not to eliminate every risk that is impossible. The goal is to live with enough mental strength and clarity that uncertainty no longer controls you. When you accept that the unknown is simply part of the journey, you remove one of worry's strongest weapons, the illusion that you can only be safe when you know every outcome. You will never have that level of control, but you can have confidence, adaptability, and trust in your ability to face what comes. Mastering worry is not about pretending nothing can go wrong. It is about refusing to let fear dictate your choices. One of the most liberating truths you can embrace is that you have the ability to decide how much space worry occupies in your mind. That choice is yours every single day. The more you consciously redirect your attention toward solutions and constructive action, the weaker the grip of worry becomes. A useful technique is to establish a worry window, a specific, limited time of day, when you allow yourself to think about your concerns. It could be 15 or 20 minutes in the afternoon. When worry tries to intrude outside of that time, you remind yourself, "I'll think about it during my worry window." This creates boundaries for your mind, stopping the endless loop of anxiety and giving you more control over your focus. It also helps to have a personal toolkit for calming your body when tension rises. This might include deep breathing exercises, a short walk, stretching, listening to calming music, or writing down your thoughts in a journal. Physical relaxation often comes before mental relaxation. When you calm the body, the mind tends to follow. Another powerful habit is practicing gratitude, even in the middle of uncertainty. Listing 3 things you appreciate each day may seem too simple to matter, but it trains your brain to notice what is good, not just what is threatening. Over time, this shifts your baseline mood and gives you a stronger foundation from which to face challenges. You should also make a conscious decision about the people you keep close. If your inner circle is filled with chronic complainers, pessimists, and fear spreaders, their energy will feed your worry. Seek out people who are solution-oriented, supportive, and resilient. Surrounding yourself with strength helps you maintain your own. When you feel the urge to spiral into what-if thinking, try replacing the question, "What if it goes wrong?" with, "What if it goes right?" This flips the script and forces your brain to consider the possibility of success. That small shift can spark motivation where there was only dread. Finally, remember that mastering worry is an ongoing practice, not a one-time fix. Some days you will handle uncertainty with ease. Other days it may take more effort. That's normal. The key is to keep applying the tools, keep choosing your focus, and keep reminding yourself that worry only has as much power as you give it. When you live this way, fear becomes background noise instead of the main voice in your head, and that is when you are truly free to act boldly and live fully.